Last night's debate felt like you were watching a Lawrence Welk rerun, something from the past that holds no relevance now. Talking about porous borders as hardworking people close shops and restaurants? Climate change predictions that never predict anything? Sorry, we're dealing with real threats now. Promising to shut down the oil that helps families during a crisis? Give me a break. Yep, watching two candidates try to out-left each other when nothing left really works is surreal. So let's note what their priorities were for so many months. Check out Joe Conch's tweet. These candidates in debates didn't address the virus until a few weeks ago. What did they fill the time with? Did they bash Big Pharma, you ask? That's a good question.
We have a bunch of crooks who are running the pharmaceutical industry. You need to take on the drug companies. We tell the pharmaceutical industry, we tell the big money interests that this is not a time for profiteering.
We should be able to sue drug companies.
You got people in the pharmaceutical industry are saying, oh, wow, what an opportunity to make a fortune. The drug companies will not rip us off.
Wow, I guess that nonsense wouldn't fly right now or last night as we rely on drug companies to find a vaccine and save lives. But I'm sure there was something else that preoccupied their minds during those debates.
Impeachment.
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 These impeachment hearings.
We have an impeachment trial.
He has, in fact, committed impeachable offenses.
Impeachment.
Impeachment.
The impeachment process.
The impeachment must go forward.
Impeachment.
Impeachment. Impeachment. Impeachment.
Began an impeachment proceeding.
I hope that he is impeached.
Ah, those were the days when they wasted precious time because all they wanted was Trump's scalp, which prevented them from eyeing real threats, which did three things. It occupied efforts that then distracted us from other things, like a really weird outbreak in China. Some saw it. It further discredited the media with its boy who cried wolf addiction, everything that's apocalyptic, so nothing is. It enforces Trump's belief that the media and Dems are out to get him because they've been out to get him all along. We always suspected the Dems and media couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time. We were right. If only they could walk and keep going. Dana, you and I have talked about this a lot. I find it hilarious that last night I don't think they've mentioned the pharmaceutical industry at all because they need the pharmaceutical industry. They're a bunch of fatuous hypocrites.
Absolutely. Fatuous hypocrites.
Sorry, I'm upset.
It's kind of interesting. I remember in one of the debates, they've had so many, where coronavirus didn't come up at all. And you're thinking, wait, if this is actually happening. Now, in 2000, neither Gore nor Bush was asked about Al-Qaeda in the lead up to that, never once by the media or in any debates, but we actually knew about coronavirus. So, last night, I thought that Biden could have said, I'm not debating you. Obviously, the Democrats across the country have rejected your ideas, Bernie, so I don't even need to be here. Instead, he goes to the debate after Bernie, as Chris Stirewalt said, Bernie got thumped like an underripe melon in Super Tuesday. There's going to be more elections tomorrow, and we know that Bernie is not going to do well in those either. So instead, Biden goes to this debate, and what does Bernie do? But pulls him further and further to the left. On all sorts of things, like on student loans, et cetera. And I just think that it wasn't necessary. I don't think that the DNC has done themselves any favors. And obviously it had good viewership, but we're in the middle of a crisis. Like, people are not going to focus on this.
It felt weird. Kennedy, when Bernie was hammering Joe, and I thought he was doing a powerful job, all Joe was doing was denying it.
Yeah.
He kept saying, no, I didn't, and he did. On almost everything. It was like a fight in a Walmart parking lot between two seniors over a parking space.
And I know Joe Biden is trying to play defense, but I also think people aren't buying into Bernie Sanders' offense. And he's right to go after Joe Biden on his hypocrisy because he really is forcing him to do a 180 on some pretty big issues, including foreign policy and criminal justice reform. My biggest issue was with Bernie Sanders saying that we have a dire lack of medical personnel in this country right now. If you think it's bad now, give every doctor and nurse a 40% pay cut and see what your medical personnel looks like in 10 years when no one is going to medical or nursing school because they won't be able to make a decent living. And, I want to go back to what Bernie Sanders also said about big pharmacy. It is the urgency right now that is acting upon these companies, and it is the competition they have with each other, in addition to this health crisis, to try and save thousands and potentially millions of lives. And if it is the competition with each other that's going to get us there faster, then I would say that's the best thing that's happening right now, and the best thing that will come of this in the future when we're able to fast track other vaccines and biologics for viruses like this.
Hey, Juan, both candidates misidentified the coronavirus as either Ebola or H1N1 or something like that. But who do you think won, the old guy or the other old guy?
I think it's your old guy, that guy in the White House. I think, it's a bunch of 70-year-olds. But I will say this. I thought Biden had a great debate. I mean, I think lots of people, especially, I don't know, Dana, I really disagree with you on this idea that he shouldn't have shown up for the debate. If he hadn't shown up for the debate, lots of people would say, oh, you know what, he's afraid. He's like sitting on the ball. He's trying to run out the clock.
It would have lasted 10 minutes.
Oh, let me just say, he needed to show up, and he needed to demonstrate a strong, commanding presence, and he did it last night. I think we should all say, you know what? That was a good debate. First of all, I thought it was a good debate, but secondly, a very good debate for Joe Biden. And then the news coming out of it, I think, is partly that he was going left because he wants to win over Bernie Sanders supporters, and I think that's very important.
I did like it that there was no audience.
Okay, and
great.
then finally, I think he said he's going to pick a woman as his vice president.
Why don't you say you're going to pick the best person?
Because guess what?
It has to be
if the best person had been a woman for all of our history, she wouldn't have been picked, Dana. So it seems to me for him to say, let's get the best person who's a woman,
I don't think so.
and that women are thoroughly qualified, including Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar,
Tulsi
Tammy
Gabbard, who's
Baldwin.
in.
Right, whatever you like, Greg. You can make a suggestion.
No, because those
But
guys
I'm just
treated her
saying,
poorly. They kicked
that's
her out.
real. That's a breakthrough for American women in this day and age, and I think that you got to stop and salute it, especially when you consider
But
the
do you
coalition.
salute John McCain?
I'm sorry?
Exactly. Great question.
Yeah, sure. I love. In fact, Sarah Palin's the best. She was a great performer last week. But I just wanted to say, his coalition includes suburban white women. Guess what? They will be turned on by that.
Turned on, really, Juan?
Yes,
You disgust me.
I said that
Juan.
for you.
Jesse, last word.
I don't even think Biden realized he was committing to picking a woman VP. He just kind of walked into it and then had to say, oh, yep, that's what I'm going to do. But I don't care who he picks right now. That's not going to make people vote for him. I have to be honest, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with Juan. But Juan was right. Joe Biden had a much better debate last night. He spoke in cleaner sound bites. He was much more eloquent, much more in control. He had a much more soothing voice. Yeah. And he only started getting rattled about 45 minutes in. And a lot of people after 45 minutes are looking to watch something else. He was easily pushed over to the left by Bernie Sanders. And that's where Bernie started to make some headway that said, Joe, you have not been leading. You've been behind the curve on gay marriage, on the bankruptcy bill, on Hyde, on war, on trade. And Biden got very, very defensive and didn't handle that well. But do I think that Bernie landed a knockout punch? Absolutely no. Joe's going to technically win that debate and continue to do well in these next few states.
I think that's a fair assessment.